Hi everybody. Well, I'm 6 months in. Not really, it's only 7 months, but I've missed out on the last 6 month update just because I've been so busy. But it's been really full on the last several weeks particularly. We've had a heap of flooding, we've had La Nina, so we've had a heap of challenges thrown at us through my first season, or first proper summer season, and coming into autumn. We've had Ukraine, we've had Russia invading Ukraine, we've had fuel price rises, we've had more COVID issues. Thankfully that's starting to ease a bit, but what a first year of business it's been. I've certainly had a baptism of fire, particularly in the last couple of months with La Nina. It's been a real challenge to the whole business aspect and cash flow and working that out and not being stressed about it and also trying to reschedule things. So I guess where I'm at the moment, I've got about, I'd say 70 customers around about, 70 regulars. So my goal is sort of probably to get to about 80, which will hopefully carry me through the winter period with just some extra top-up work. And obviously some of those schedules will change from fortnightly and a couple of 3-weekly back to maybe 3 or 4 weeks. So it's really important to have that good customer base. So coming and starting with no customers whatsoever, that's pretty awesome. With COVID and all the other issues that we've had, particularly the La Nina stuff, we've had rain consistently up on the Gold Coast, and it's really smashed my productivity as well as the bit of the cash flow, and also adding those extra customers, because you can't take customers if you're backed up for a week with overdue work. And particularly we had a huge amount of flooding up here just recently, so that put me out for about a week or so. And that was a really stressful period because I was thinking, okay, how's this going to turn out? Is the money going to continue to come in? Thankfully, we've had a really good week this week, the first full 5 days of, or I think we had one minimal little bit of rain, but it's been the first full week I've had for several weeks. So to see that money come back in again was really, really a good feeling. And mentally, it just propped me up this week big time to be a little bit more excited about the future again, because I was getting a bit worried at a draw on some of our funds that we've had. And I guess that's one of the big things when you're going into a new business, you know, to have that little bit of funds to be able to draw upon if you can. If you're a family man like me and you've got 3 kids and you've got all those expenses and a mortgage, it does become a little bit stressful. But the great thing is that once you get past those periods, there's always more work around the corner. That's one of the biggest things with gyms, is that there has just been so much work coming through, and unfortunately you just haven't been able to service it because it's been so wet and so hard to get those customers while they're super keen. And I think that's the biggest thing when you're taking on new leads, is you need to get them while they're keen and while they're ready to go. Because if you leave it a couple of days, they look for other people, or you just miss the opportunity where they're keen to get on board and get you into service their yards and needs that way. So one of the biggest things is now I've got the confidence to kind of adjust my prices. Now I've got a good customer base, and we've been really encouraged, particularly with all the fuel price rises recently, due to what's going on with Ukraine, and also all the other things in inflation and whatever else. So it's a great time, I guess, for us to look at our prices and rise those prices. And now that I've got a good customer base, I'm not so worried about them saying no. But one of the big things that I've done, I guess, in the last few weeks is I've had my kind of list of customers at the bottom. And when I say customers at the bottom, I mean the ones that aren't necessarily that profitable, and the ones that I've maybe underquoted, or it's just a real challenge to service the property as well. Like some of them, you've got to wait for the customer to be there. They've got a big dog and they've got to put the dogs away, and you've got to liaise with them at a certain time. And some of those jobs can be difficult because they do affect your efficiency, which is why you probably should charge a bit more for those jobs. I did have another one that was a difficult access. They had to be home. I had to go through the garage because, like these small Gold Coast properties, you've got to go through these tiny garages, and they don't think about the mower man coming in and doing a mower service at the place. So that does cost you time and money. So you've got to make some business decisions. And now you've been established for that amount of time, you can be a little bit more picky about what customers that you choose to take on, and also I guess how much money you can also make, because you're in this not to do a good deal for everybody. You're in this to make money and get ahead with your family and that sort of thing. So super important. I think there's a lot of customers. There's probably 20 or 30 customers that could go up between $5 and $10 just because I've underpriced them previously, or also, you know, we've got to that stage where there has been price increases. So I mean, for me, it might be an extra $60 or $80 a week on fuel, and I mean, I'm mostly electric, and my cars are pretty efficient, or my car is pretty efficient. So for some people driving big rigs, that it could be $200 a week on fuel if you're running a crew. It's important to think about that and to start upping your prices where you need to, because I think there was 3 things that I picked out, or particularly about, you know, running successful businesses. First of all, I've been looking at my daily income, and I'm like, well, how come I'm not reaching my $550 a day, which is kind of a standard target that we have in gyms, I guess, for a sole operator. And I guess the first one is pricing, and that's definitely something that I've noticed with my underquoting. The second is your business efficient? And that might be just based on where your suburbs are. So the third thing that I talked about before was definitely looking at upgrading customers as you can, and as you've got a good customer base, because there's certain customers that you're traveling too far, you're not making enough money while you're there, and you need to adjust those prices to suit, or you need to start culling. And that seems super counterintuitive when you're early on in the business to start, you know, dropping customers or passing them on to other people, because you're like, well, this is income. But at the same time, you've traveled half an hour to get there for a $60 job, and then you've traveled half an hour to get to the next job. So you start to think, okay, well, I need to drop this customer to open up more opportunities, because if you get 2 customers, for example, in the same suburb, you're going to make $120 an hour rather than $60 or $70 an hour. So you've just got to think that way. And although it's counterintuitive to start dropping customers so early, you know, you need to do it. You need to up that quality of customer and start to cull out those ones that are really, really essentially costing you money and making your business less profitable. So there's lots of things that you could break down out of what I've talked about to put into their own little subject, like things like particularly pricing and quoting. I do want to come and do a review soon on all my electric gear, which has been going really well. I've had a few things that I've learned over time, which I think I'll do a complete review video of that pretty soon. I appreciate that everybody's keen for me to get more content out there, but I have been super busy because it's peak summer period. The other thing is my fitness is going great. I've lost at least 5 kilos, but I'm still melting off fat in this sort of period, and I've put on some muscle as well. So I've sort of gone up a little bit from what I lost initially, but that's a really good thing too, because I'm physically a lot more fitter over this last nearly 7 months. So it is a very physical job, and that's one of the biggest things that, you know, you're going to learn. You're going to have to adjust to that physicality of it if you haven't been in this kind of industry before. But thankfully the body is holding up and getting better and better. And with this cooler weather that's coming in now, certainly been appreciating that, and then rather than the hot stinky summer Queensland weather that we've had for the last, you know, few months particularly. So I will put some more content out there soon. Keep listening, keep subscribing, and if you've got any questions, feel free to put the questions on my YouTube channel. Good to see you soon. See ya.